Did my ex ever love me at all? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. But first, my name is Clay with modernlove.life, where we help you get the great loving relationship that you're looking for without having to play mind games, without having to play hard to get, and without having to pretend to be someone or something that you're not. Because, of course, you deserve to be loved for the unique, amazing, and wonderful person that you are. So what we're going to be doing here today is we're going to be talking a little bit about what your ex's experience is and what their behaviors and motivations are. So if that's something that you're a little bit confused about, I'd really like you to watch this video through because I think it might be insightful for you and give you some ideas about what's really going on with them. If at any point during this video you do like what we're doing here, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you're on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon next to it and all that stuff. It does help us out. So what can be really frustrating and really difficult for a lot of people is when their ex breaks up with them, suddenly their ex either treats them like they don't exist at all, or they just become like very mean and cruel and cold-hearted towards that person. And it can cause them to think, hey, was my whole relationship just a lie? Or did my ex ever even really love me? Was this all just some sort of fake thing or something like that? And so that is what we're really going to be talking about here today. Now, I want to just preface this by saying that, of course, there are people out there that have, personality disorders or narcissism or things like that. And, these are things that are out there. Some people will go out there and they will use you. They will take advantage of you. They will use you for their own selfish purposes and all that. Is that your ex? I don't know because I don't know your ex, but I can say that you probably have a better idea of what your ex is capable of, who they are, what they're not capable of, etc., than I do, some random weirdo on the internet. So what we want to do is we want to understand that, yes, there are some people like that out there. There are going to be some manipulative people like that out there. However, is that your ex? You would probably know. You would know if they had it in them to do that. You would know if they had it in them to take advantage of someone, manipulate them, have certain traits of some kind of, psychological disorder or whatever. Chances are they're not just going to flip on a dime, and because the two of you broke up, suddenly they're a narcissist, or suddenly they're borderline, or suddenly they're some sort of manipulative person. Chances are you would have seen something that would indicate that up to the time that the two of you broke up. So what we want to do is we want to take the understanding that most likely your ex is just a normal person. They probably don't have any of these things, at least not suddenly, unless you've seen any previous, signs or indications that they might have some sort of psychological disorder leading up to all of this. But chances are they're just a regular person. And so with that in mind, why would they suddenly start to treat you so coldly? Why would they suddenly start to hold themselves back? Why would they suddenly pull back? Why would they suddenly get silent around you? And there could be a lot of reasons for some of these things. Let's go ahead and get into that. The number one reason why your ex might suddenly get silent for you, towards you, is because they are, they might be trying to do something like the no contact rule. Not to say they're necessarily trying to get you back, but there's a whole slice of the world out there that does the no contact rule to get over their ex. And they may have just heard this somewhere. They may just have heard it from a friend or some place on the internet. Oh yeah, you broke up with someone, you shouldn't contact them. Now they might be having a very difficult time emotionally themselves, and they may not want to just, cut contact with you or anything like that, but they could just be blindly following some sort of advice that they picked up somewhere along the way. So we want to be, mindful of that as we go ahead and as we interact with them, is that, hey, they might be following some sort of advice like the no contact rule. If they're not responding to you in as warm a way as you would have hoped, they could be following something like that, or they could be following some other script along the way. Next up is they could be behaving coldly towards you because they may just not know how to interact with you. We don't really have very well defined ways that we interact with our exes after a breakup in our society. Right? So sure, of course, we might be mad at someone, we might block them, we might say we hate their guts or something if they did something totally terrible, like cheated or betrayed our trust in some major way. But if they just weren't compatible with us and we ended up breaking up and splitting ways amicably, like how do we fit into each other's lives? It can be kind of complicated for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And so we want to keep that in mind as well too. They may just not have a good idea of how to interact. The third thing is that, yeah, they might be holding on to a negative image of you. I've talked about this in other videos, but when your ex is thinking about their relationship with you, they often hold on to a negative image of you in order to justify that breakup. Now, whether or not this negative image of you is rightly deserved or wrongly deserved is, it's up for debate. And it depends on your situation and what happened between you and them and all those great things. But if they may be exaggerating things in their own mind. They may be playing up the bad qualities about you in their own mind in order to give themselves some sort of understanding about why they did this. Why did they go through this big process of breaking up with you, especially now that you're trying to seem very reasonable, you're trying to understand them, you're trying to work things out with them, etc. Why are they doing this? It's because they are trying to convince themselves that they made the right choice. And of course, they would say that they made the right choice if they could see you as some sort of really terrible person. Like, oh yeah, it makes sense that we broke up because, I had no choice. You were so untrustworthy. You were a terrible person. You were this or that or the other thing. And so that makes sense. What we want to do, and this can also explain why they're so mean or cruel towards you as well too, is that they really just want to believe that they made the right choice. And so what you want to do if you want to stay in contact with your ex and work things out with them is to start to bridge through these things, right? So a lot of this is just based off of a sort of sense of awkwardness around how the two of you are supposed to fit into each other's lives after a breakup. A lot of this is just based off of like, hey, I don't know how we're supposed to fit into each other's lives. So I'm just going to keep myself at a distance. I'm just going to be cold and all that sort of stuff. Chances are this isn't actually how they feel. Your ex doesn't actually hate you. They don't actually feel nothing towards you or anything like that. They're just doing this in order to create that distance so they can believe that they made the right choice. Chances are your ex probably feels a lot of complex emotions about your breakup. Chances are they have their doubts. They have those moments when they're not sure if they made the right choice or maybe they miss you or maybe they want to reach out to you. I talk about this from time to time, but there's this entirely invisible process that's going on with them. You may not be able to see them reaching for their phone and thinking of maybe I should message you. You might not be able to see them thinking about, hey, did I make the right choice? You may not be able to see the doubt. You may not be able to see the times that they just had to, cry themselves to sleep or whatever. All you see is the silence on your phone, or all you see is them telling you that they feel nothing or whatever. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. There's this very invisible process the whole time. And I don't want you to just get caught up in what you can see and just believe like, okay, because they say they feel nothing, they actually feel nothing. Or because they say they're not messaging me, that must mean they've totally forgotten about me. I've told this story a couple times, but when me and my big ex broke up the second time anyway, we did some no contact for a while for some reasons I won't necessarily get into right now. But while we were in no contact, I was fairly certain that she'd forgotten about me and that she had just moved on and that our relationship had meant absolutely nothing to her. At that time, we'd been together for about 5 years. And I was pretty sure that like, hey, I can't believe she would have just moved on so quickly. I can't believe she would just throw it all away. I couldn't believe that she would just do all, but there was this entirely invisible process that was going on with her. I wasn't there to see the angst that she was going through. I wasn't there to see the pain and the suffering that she was going through. I wasn't there to see anything. I was just there noticing, hey, I haven't gotten any messages from her. That must mean that she doesn't care. And so I want you to never forget that there's an entirely different journey that your ex is going through that's totally something that you may not be tuned into. Because when she actually did message me, several weeks later, she said something to the effect of, hey, I just can't stand playing this game that we're playing any longer. I just miss you. I can't stand not knowing what's going on in your life. I just want to talk to you. And up until the very moment that I got that message, I thought that she didn't care. I thought that she had moved on. I thought that our relationship meant nothing, that she had just forgotten about me, that she never loved me. But really, there was this entirely invisible experience this whole time that I was just not clued into. Okay. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, do what you can do to rebuild the connection, do what you can do to have those same team conversations and to really create the connection between the two of you to move forward if that's something that you want to do. We talked about that on, I believe it was Monday. So feel free to go ahead and check that out over there in a video card that I'll put up there going back to that video. And that I think is going to help you a lot when it comes to making those connections with your ex and to helping you understand that there are certain things that you can do in order to get back together. Additionally, I'd also really, really suggest that you go through our 8-hour subliminal affirmation recording while you're sleeping so that you can start to program your mind and program yourself to get better results in your relationship with your ex. I mean, you're going to sleep anyway. You might as well, listen to this while you're sleeping to start working through your unconscious mind and unconscious limiting beliefs, etc. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to that right up there as well, too. So anyway, I hope that helps you out. Let's go ahead and get into some Q&A today. I'm actually not going to be posting your questions on the bottom of the screen here today because this is so ridiculous. But I was logging into my Facebook account and I saw that there was a copyright complaint about the last video that I did. And I'm like, what, the copyright? Like it's just a video of me talking about my own opinions. Like how could that be a copyright? And the only thing that I can actually think, well, there's two things I could actually think of. One is I'm using a piece of software to simultaneously stream to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Maybe that goes against Facebook's terms of service. I don't know. I'm going to figure that out with them. But the other thing is that maybe I displayed someone's question on the screen and they're like, oh, that's my written work. I'm going to file a copyright complaint because Clay didn't ask my permission to post my question in the bottom of the screen or something like that. And it's like, hey, it's in the comment section anyway. What does it matter? But anyway, figuring all that stuff out. I know it's the most ridiculous thing in the world anyway, but let's see. Some folks here are saying hello. Hello there, everyone. Hello. Everyone. I'm not going to call out your names because I don't want to get a Facebook or even a YouTube copyright strike for stealing your original work that you've typed into the comments section here. But we have someone saying, is it normal for a couple to break up if someone's depression and anxiety has been affecting the relationship? I was told to find myself and my happiness again, and he may come back home. Yeah, I mean, that can definitely happen. I'm guessing it's maybe your anxiety and depression. Is that right? Looks like you continue on in this next comment here that says, he's called me twice this month. I answered, and he heard me answer, then hung up. Is that him trying to slowly get me back? I mean, I'm obviously, I think he called you because he missed you. I think that, but then he, just chickened out and did the whole high school thing of like, oh my God, they answered. I mean, hey, at least if you are old enough to remember landlines and all that stuff, you may have experienced that. I mean, I guess people are still doing that now on cell phones and all that, but yeah, we've all been there. But yeah, so if one person in a relationship does become depressed or has some sort of mental health issues, yeah, it can sometimes lead to a breakup. Sometimes if the depressed person feels powerless to control things in their life, they may reach to try and control something that they do believe they have control over, which would be their relationship. So, they might try to end that relationship to feel as if they have some sort of power or control in their life. Something like that happened to a good friend of mine. He was really frustrated with where he was in his life, his career, his creative works and all that. And so he broke up with his girlfriend. they ended up getting back together. They ended up getting back together and getting married and all that stuff. But that's a whole other story. But I've definitely heard of this many, many, many times. If you became depressed and your ex broke up with you, then that also could be something as well too, because now, instead of dealing with you at your normal level, he has to deal, or she has to deal, whatever. They got to be vague for the copyright complaints here. They have to deal with something else, which could be more than they are equipped to handle, more than they want to handle, more than they're ready to handle. And so that could be what happened. But if your ex is calling you, then yeah, it sounds like they very well could be trying to reconnect with you. They could miss you. They could be going through that invisible process, and it could just be sort of like poking out above the surface just a little bit in those phone calls. Sometimes they might be holding that phone in their hand thinking, like, gosh, I just want to call them. I miss them so much. And then they tap the button. And then when they hear the pickup, they're like, oh my goodness. And they hang up. That could happen. Yeah. But it sounds like that's something that could definitely make sense of your situation here. So I hope that helped you out. What if your ex has blocked you everywhere? Yeah, so that's a really tough one. Like, obviously, if your ex has blocked you everywhere and there's no way for you to get a hold of them, then you're not going to be able to contact them unless you're able to somehow meet them in real life, randomly bump into them on the street, or unless you have something like school or work or something like that you share together. It's going to be really tough. You're probably just going to have to wait for them to actually unblock you, or somehow make contact with them through some sort of shared activity like work or school or whatever, mutual friends, and try and demonstrate to them that, like, hey, that's when I'd really recommend having that same team conversation, by the way. Hey, I understand it can be hard figuring out how we're supposed to fit into each other's lives. Just to be clear, I don't want to force anything that's not there between the two of us, blah, 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 all that stuff. Go check out that video I posted on Monday. Again, it's going to be up in the video cards, where you can go ahead and find that if you missed it. But I'd really recommend trying to move towards having a same team conversation as quickly as possible. Let's see, another anonymous human being that I will not try to identify it anyway, says, my ex broke up with me on the phone. 10 minutes later, she texted me and said, I'm likely the greatest love she's ever known. She is in reactance. I'm so confused. Yeah. I mean, that can definitely happen. I mean, oftentimes people don't break up impulsively. Usually there's something going on under the surface that leads up to that breakup. And so, what you want to do is you want to understand that what you want to do is connect with them on that emotional level and understand that, okay, if they are in a place of emotional confusion, and if they're in a place where they're not sure how they feel, you don't necessarily want to give them the answer, but you want to help them to discover the answer that's right for them. And in that moment of sort of taking that Aikido stance of, rather than trying to get them to do something, you just instead say, okay, well, what seems like the right thing for you to do? Suddenly, through that way of being, of just being grounded and curious and all that sort of stuff, you actually demonstrate to them that you're the right kind of person they probably want to be in a relationship with, someone cool, easygoing, and, connection focused. Oh, okay. We have someone here who used to go by a different screen name, but now has a new screen name. Okay. Again, I would put this on the screen so that it would make sense. But again, because of the copyright issue with Facebook, I'm at least not going to be displaying anyone's comments until I get to the bottom of this, until I understand, like, hey, what's that all about? Is it just some like fake copyright infringement? Probably. But was I somehow like falling into some bizarre loophole that I'm not supposed to? Like, oh yeah, like if you post someone's comment on screen, like that comment is their copyrighted original work of writing, and you're like stealing it or something. I don't know. Gonna wait for Facebook to get back before I know about that. But yeah, cool to see that. I'm gonna take note that that's your new screen name. Hope you're having a great Friday night, and yeah, I'll keep an eye out for you in the future. Um, Reconnecting with an ex after 10 years, best practices. Yeah. Important thing for reconnecting with an ex after a long period of time is just to stay open, stay curious. Don't believe that they are the same person that they were 10 years ago. Don't get caught in that trap. Understand that they have had an entirely invisible process as well too that's just been going on for 10 years of their entire life, for those past 10 years, whatever that may have involved. Be curious about that. Be willing to discover who that person is. Be willing to connect with them. Be willing to rediscover what that person is like and who they are about. I mean, like, goodness, 10 years ago, I was someone totally different. And for some reason, the other day, I was thinking about high school. And it's like, yeah, in high school, I was a very shy person, lived in my comfort zone a lot, very, very, not outgoing at all. And now here I am talking to people on YouTube, being seen by thousands and thousands of people on a daily basis, um, living in Mexico, traveling, all that sort of stuff. And it's just like, I am not the same person that I was in high school. That was over 10 years ago, by the way. But yeah, just stay curious, rediscover who they are. And I think that's going to keep you from getting stuck in the trap of just believing that they are the same person that you remember from so long ago. And I think it's going to help you to reconnect with them in a much better and stronger way. My ex says there's an intellectual gap that cannot be filled, and that's why he doesn't want to be in a relationship with me. Okay, I don't really understand exactly what that intellectual gap might be, but so okay. This is maybe one of my unpopular opinions, one of my strange beliefs out there, and that's that I don't really believe that certain people are like more intelligent or less intelligent than others. Like unless you have some sort of, like head injury, or unless your brain just like literally doesn't work the right way. I think that we all have the same potential to be intelligent. It's just a matter of curiosity. It's just a matter of being curious about certain aspects, whether that being, current events or politics or science or whatever. Like if we just get curious about something, we have the potential of being very intelligent about whatever the subject is. And so, like, if your ex thinks that there's too much of an intelligence gap, I don't know which way that goes, but I think that as long as both of you are able to stay curious and to actually follow the thread of conversation, I think it's going to help a lot in terms of being able to reconnect with one another and being able to meet each other at that same level of intelligence. At least that's my opinion anyway. My ex-husband of 26 years still doesn't leave, but people say it's my fault. I continue to talk to him, still love him, and I admit it. Not sure I'm getting what's going on there. I mean, it's probably really tough, given that your husband of 26 years seems to be pulling back. I'm not sure about the details there, but I hope this video is giving you some insight about what could be going on with him. Let's see. Ex broke up with me 2.5 years ago. He was on dating sites within 3 weeks. Rebound relationship right there. And met someone after 6 months. He's been with this person for 2 years. I left them to it, but I left them to it. But since we have children together, we have to be in contact. The last few months, he has been going out of his way to offer to help me, especially the last few weeks when my car has been out of action. I don't think his girlfriend is aware that we are in so much contact every day, text, video calls, etc. I guess I'm trying. Yeah. So, just go ahead and stay focused on that emotional connection. That's literally the most important thing. I hope that's what you have gotten from the video that I did on Monday, is to focus on that emotional connection. Go through the kaleidoscope, do the subliminal kaleidoscope 8-hour thing while you're sleeping for a month. Do that. It's going to help you with a lot of the mindset stuff. It's going to help you bring the best of yourself to the situation and all of those great things. But aside from that, focus on the emotional connection. Those affirmations and such can really help you when it comes to that emotional connection. but I want you to be focusing on that emotional connection. It's the most important thing, especially when there's a rebound in the situation. I know you're going to feel so compelled to get pulled into focusing on rebounds and what they're doing, and are they real? Are they fake? Is it a real relationship? Is it a rebound relationship? All that sort of stuff. But just focus on the quality of the emotional connection. That's all you need to do. Okay. Ex blocked me for a week after a breakup, and then unblocked me, but unfollowed me a month later. She did this after I accidentally watched her story. What does this mean? Sounds like your ex is confused. Sounds like your ex is very confused and doesn't know what they want. Yeah, I mentioned you. You want your money. Yeah, I don't know about this whole copyright thing with I don't know. I'm sure it's just some person with some kind of vendetta against me for some whatever reason, and I'm sure Facebook's gonna be like, yeah, this is just a video of this guy talking about his own opinions. Like, no, we're not going to ban this for some ridiculous reason. This is obviously a video that this person live streamed, and it's an original work of theirs because it's live streamed, unless I'm wearing some sort of mask or something. Like, I promise I'm not actually like Brad Browning wearing a mask or something. Yeah, I don't know what that's. I'm pretty sure this is going to be resolved like in a couple days, maybe early next week, since it's the weekend. I don't know if the Facebook minions work on the weekends or not. Probably, who knows? But yeah, thanks. Anyway, guys, I've got to get going here. I'm going to be going to San Miguel de Allende this weekend, and I'm going to be there next week as well too. I'm going to try to live stream while I'm there. I don't know what the Wi-Fi situation is going to be like, or if it will be able to support a live stream. But if it is, I will be live streaming. If not, then you're just gonna have to wait until I'm able to get back to a stable Wi-Fi sort of environment. But once again, thanks so much. If you did like this video, if you do like what we're doing, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks so much. Take care, and I'll talk to you maybe, hopefully, next week.